over a couple years, a balance totaling about $84 million.
Do we jeopardize any program from the federal funds and not fronting the money first and just relying solely on the federal funds?
I believe the LAO may want to comment on this, but I believe the LAO's looked at this and believes that there's no risk here of the federal funds.
Eric Thronson with the Legislative Analyst's Office. We are under the impression from all the information that we've been provided by both the program and by the federal government that the reversion of the $20 million would not jeopardize the federal funds at all.
You don't agree, though?
Well, I think one dynamic that hasn't been discussed is the issue of the program has experienced significant loss in the past 2 years, a program high of losses due to the recession. Mm-hmm. And so we are concerned that if you take back the $20 million and then we have to pay out on what could be potentially $10 million in losses in the next 2 years, you push the program to a point where they're at their 5-to-1 leverage ratio, which is what's allowed by law. Once you push them over that leverage ratio, they are suspended from making new loan guarantees and lines of credit. So the idea of the loan could keep us in that kind of fiscally prudent area so that we don't get into that 5-to-1 leverage ratio. Of course, we understand the difficulty that you're having to deal with, but we also thought that the loan concept, since it had proven successful in the past, was something that could be sussed out and negotiated and talked about over the course of the next 2 weeks or so.
Thank you. LAO?
Senator, just as an alternative, if the program were to approach the 5-to-1 leverage concern that as raised, we could always appropriate more funds to the program should we need to keep it from going insolvent or having the issues that Madam's bringing up. So we don't necessarily need this loan language to keep the program from shutting down. We always have the alternative of providing more funds in the future if necessary.
You have the authority to do so.
The legislature does, certainly.
Do we have to have another hearing to do so, or does the Department of Finance have the ability to do that independently?
We could write language that allowed finance to do that through a JLBC process, for example. There are a number of ways around that.
Okay, well, let's do that then.
That would be something that we would feel more comfortable with.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Senator Moffa.
How certain are we of the federal funds coming down?
Our understanding is the federal government committed to the $84 million. To the $84 million for this program, and it is just a matter of paperwork that is kind of slowing it down to keep it from happening yet. But it is our understanding the federal government will be giving us the $84 million in 3 segments, $28 million to begin with, and then as we leverage, this is part of the slow process. Is the federal guidelines require a 10-to-1 leverage of the funds. However, it may be unreasonable to do 10-to-1 leverage of the $28 million in order to get the next $28 million, the next third. And so through the negotiations, last I've heard from the FDCs is that they need to leverage it 3-to-1 before they get the next third, and then 3-to-1 before they get the final third. But that is all supposed to take place over the next 2 years or so.
Okay, and my understanding there's a contingency that should the whole federal fund blow up on us, that the state would then step back up and backfill the $20 million. That would revert back to this fund, the $20 million.
Language could be written to that effect, certainly.
It's not written yet?
It is not. The current proposal is to revert the $20 million. As the program doesn't have any guarantees against this $20 million that we're referring to at this point. They have the guarantees against the base trust fund, which is $24 million roughly currently right now. So the $20 million right now is just generally sitting in the trust fund, anticipating whether or not the legislature is going to take back the $20 million.
All right, so it's there. So if the feds don't uphold their end, then we have the ability to still keep the 20 for that.
We have the ability to give the $20 million back after we revert it, if we wanted to do that. Certainly.
Very good. All right, thank you.
We just need the language to do so. Motion to that effect on this particular item? All those in favor say aye. That passes 3-0. Going back to the vote-only items, there was, I believe, some new information from the Department of Finance with cash management and budgetary loans. Do you have that? Is it something you want to pass out or provide testimony on? We're still on page 1, vote-only items, and this is the last item, 9620.
Good morning, Armando Valdivia, Department of Finance. We have two items on this cash management proposal. The Department of Finance is requesting that we repeat the 2010-11 cash deferrals into the 2011-12 fiscal year to assist us with cash management low periods during the fiscal year. Also included in that proposal is we're asking for two more funds to become borrowable for cash management purposes, cash flow purposes. We use these to help cash receipts and disbursements to help us during the year to keep us making program payments. The second item is the budgetary loans. This is a Budget Act proposal, Appropriation 9620, which provides apportionments to provide interest costs due to budgetary loans and cash management loans. So we're asking to continue the repeat of the intra-year cash flow deferrals, and also add two borrowable funds to this cash management.
Got it. This was done last year too, correct?
Yes.
All righty. All those in favor of adopting the new language? Yes. Oh, Senator Amalfa?
I'm sorry, I want to just clarify a couple of quick things here. First, my understanding is that the exemption for the 50,000 and lower counties is still part of this package, right?
No, the HUDA, or the Highway Users Tax Account, would be exempt. That's the $50 million.
No, small. What I'm talking about as far as
Correct. There's an exemption.
deferrals.
Yeah, we provide a waiver exemption for 50,000 population or less.
Good. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sorry.
I think this will be the third year that's part of that. Also, the concerns have been brought up over the Hospital Quality Assurance Revenue Fund, which is a very liquid fund, and I just wanted to be certain that should those program dollars be needed, that there's the cash flow that they would have, and that the state would be able to, if those funds have been depleted, that the state would be able to backfill them and keep their cash flow going.
Correct. Yes, cash flow management loans are used as an idle cash investment tool. So if these programs aren't in need for cash to do their operations, the money is returned to them to continue their operations. Okay. So there's no harm to the activity of this fund.
Very good. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I do want to clarify that we also have an attachment or handout to address the recent development from, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Cindy Hillary, Regional Council of Rural Counties. I just wanted to echo the thanks of Senator LaMalfa about the small county exemption for the cash payment deferrals. Many of our counties run extremely close to the line, especially those under 50,000, and that is a live or die provision in this, and we appreciate the committee's understanding and the Department of Finance's understanding of that. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So we already have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Passes 3-0. For those following along, they were not vote-only items, so let's go back to page 1 and we'll start knocking these out one at a time. We took care of the Small Business Loan Guarantee Program. Second, we need no action on the Fiscal Information System for California. We're just holding that item over. So that takes us to State Finance, which is Issue 1, AB 118, Ethanol Producer Incentive Program. LAO, you want to start with a brief opening because we've had this item before us before.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tiffany Roberts, Legislative Analyst Office. The administration is requesting reimbursement expenditure authority of $9 million to CATVA to implement the Energy Commission's ethanol program under its AB 118 program. To give you a little bit of background on the AB 118 program, it's the Alternative and Renewable Fuel and Technology Program. Its purpose is basically to provide grant funding of upwards of $100 million annually for the purpose of developing and employing clean, low-carbon fuels and technology. The legislature has expressed a great deal of interest in this program and as such has required the Energy Commission to develop an annual investment plan for this program. The Energy Commission has stated that it will plan to have a draft version of the investment plan in March. But at this point, without an investment plan, the legislature cannot evaluate how this proposed $9 million will fit into the overall investment plan. We therefore can't determine whether this request aligns with the legislature's priorities for AB 118 funding, and as such, we therefore recommend that you deny without prejudice the budget request.
Got it. There's a motion on the floor to move on staff's recommendation, which is deny without prejudice to defer final consideration of this to the spring and after AB 118 report has been provided and reviewed. Unless there's any burning item that the department would like to bring up, there's a motion on the floor. Senator LaMalfa, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, just a point of clarification.
Sure.
These funds have been approved by the legislature for expenditure in the current year. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that the legislature has already approved the $9 million, actually a total of 15 in the current year. So the $9 million is actually essentially a carryover in the event the $9 million are not spent in the current year. That's what the reimbursement authority is.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. With that, that takes care of Agenda Part A. Right now. Senator LaMalfa, before we move forward from Part A, I understood you wanted to discuss an item as it relates to the Williamson Act. Might want to bring that up now.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we were discussing the Williamson Act funding the other day in committee and looking for a direction to go in action and conferring with Senator Evans and yourself. I think that it'd be appropriate with the Williamson Act and the contractual obligation that is in place in all the counties in California that are using it, and that contract with the state and the faith and goodwill of the state of California that's been traditionally nearly a $40 million budget item until the last couple of years, something we've always had to try and keep in place. And the proposal I would bring forward today is that we fund the Williamson Act to the tune of $20 million for this year, which is still a 50% approximate reduction in what the fund has had in recent years, but at least maintains and helps the counties as well as the landowners that are participating in the program and keeps the integrity of it going. So I would make the motion that we revisit that, since the motion was withdrawn last meeting on that item, that I would make the motion that we fund that to $20 million and let that go on to conference committee as per Senator Evans' desire.
Got it. That's a motion. Since we already had testimony on this, I'm not going to open it to the floor. Any objections? Then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Moving on to Agenda Part B now. All right, for those who are following along, our first item is a vote-only item, since we heard testimony on the subject before, which is the Bureau of State Audits. It's the state audit augmentation. And I'm trying to find the page number. Got it. There's a move on this particular item. Senator LaMalfa, did you want to comment on the Bureau of State Audits budget augmentation?
I'm very supportive of the work of the auditor and the effort that is needed for that in California, especially in these times, as far as sunshine and what we do here, and on possible cost savings that it can bring forward. But in this proposal, I just want to make sure that these funds are used, and anybody that would like to comment to this, that whatever audits that this would fund, that indeed they are high priority and that they're looking at high risk issues, so that we're getting the most bang for the buck in this very difficult budget year for any item. And so I just, with my colleagues on the committee, just want to, ascertain that we'll indeed focus on high priority budgets or ones that have high risk. So
certainly, I know the state auditor is here. I always want to make the room available for her. However, it looks like it's going to pass. So, is there a motion to that effect, or it's vote only? Good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes 3-0 then. Moving right on along now to the State Controller's Office. Thank you for your comments, Senator LaMalfa. We will move to the State Controller's Office, which is the unclaimed property legal costs. If I could get a very brief opening perhaps from the LAO's office. The staff's recommendation is to approve the budget request.
Marianne O'Malley with the Legislative Analyst Office. We have no concerns with this proposal.
Got it. Is there a motion to approve this item? Any public comment on this? Seeing none? All those in favor say aye.
I have a comment.
Senator LaMalfa?
I'm going to have to go the other way on this one here. I'm still having difficulty with the concept that we're having to pay for more litigators to indeed deal with the public's property on this. And there's only a 3-year timeline for property to become unclaimed, and I just have a problem with that as a concept. That's not something that we're going to fix here today in this committee. I understand, but to fund the idea of this more state litigators for people to have to defend themselves should they have lagged in moving their property around, moving their accounts around a little bit, I don't really believe that's a business of the state of California, certainly on a 3-year timeline. And so that's why I have a lot of difficulty with this particular item and would not approve it.
Got it. There is already a move to, so all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? That item passes 2-1. Thank you very much. Moving right on along now to Department of Fair Employment and Housing. On page 6, we have issue 1, information technology transfer to DGS, retain 2 positions for enforcement. We did already hear this particular item.
Yes.
And so I turn. There's a move on this item. I want to give you some time, but there's already a motion since we heard testimony on this particular item. Senator LaMalfa.
As I recall previously, the original effort was to sweep into DGS the people and the resources to handle this phase of IT, correct? And so at the time, the idea was that it was going to be able to achieve cost savings by consolidating that, and now we're back here looking for more funding for DGS to do something that was seen as a cost-saving measure that DGS was going to handle in its scope. And so I'm wondering, why are we now funding something that originally the move was made to save that money by consolidating that? It kind of goes against the first move that we made, and now we're back asking for money for something that was the savings.
Kristen Shelton, Department of Finance. If I may, the Department of General Services is a fee-for-service entity, so any of the services that they provide need to be recovered in terms of the cost or the payment from all the clients that they provide those services to. So that's piece one. The action that was taken last week was to recognize that we were redirecting existing positions out of excess of positions and taking down the corresponding funding for those positions, and then instead those positions will be used for this purpose and then be reimbursed by the Department of Fair Employment and Housing. And we would note, as we testified previously, that overall, this is 7 positions going to 5 positions in the Department of General Services, and part of the rationale for the 2-year limited term is to allow us an opportunity to assess efficiencies that are gained from the implementation of some of the movement to the new email servers, new kind of operational support, and so we'll be relooking at that in 2 years.
Will we have another bite at this in Budget Committee?
I don't believe so, Senator LaMalfa.
All right. I just don't have the comfort level with this because I want to see where the savings are, and having done this two-step process here, and I'm not seeing it. So I'll stop there.
Okay. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed? That passes 2-1. Moving to our next item then, the Department of Finance, California Recovery Task Force Issue 1, the ARA funds oversight. Staff's recommendation is to approve the requests but reduce the 11-12 resources for the CRTF by $393,000, including reduction of 2 positions and $150,000 to reflect reduced OSAE support. We have not heard this item. LAO, do you have a brief overview of this particular one? This is a cost savings that's direct.
The administration, the governor requests $1.6 million to support oversight of the ARA funds, and your staff is recommending that the positions and the funding for this, the Recovery Task Force, be reduced by $393,000. Your staff's recommendation appears reasonable to us.
We concur.
Jennifer Grucius with the California Recovery Task Force. We're fine with the recommendations.
Great. Aren't you from the Central Valley, too?
I'm not, no.
Oh, I thought you were.
Well, Sacramento. Does that count?
No. Got it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. That passes 3-0 then.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to state operations efficiencies. Got it. We've got 2 items under this. The first is the fleet management. We've all heard what the governor's administration has done on this front. It's information only. Unless senators object, I'd rather let's move to the second item, which is action-oriented, which is the reduction in Department of General Services building rental rates. Staff's recommendation is to approve trailer bill language to authorize the administration to reduce appropriations to reflect a reduction in building rental rates charged to departments by DGS. Good morning.
Good morning.
How about we start with DGS on this particular one, since it directly goes to you guys in the reduction of rates.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Teresa Beer, Deputy Director of Administration for Department of General Services. This reduction is a result of the building rental account reduction rate that began with $1.80 a square foot and has been reduced to $1.40 a square foot as a result of various reductions resulting from the workforce cap plan, the POP adjustment made to the DGS operations. Therefore, we have reduced our expenditures to operate and maintain the buildings, and we're passing that rate reduction back on to the clients. Those clients were funded at $1.80 a square foot, so it's my understanding that we're taking that reduction from those budgets as a result of this trailer bill language.
Great. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, then I turn to senators.
For my part, I approve that effort, and I'm really commended that savings have been found and been passed back to the general fund, and so I would be in favor strongly of this item as well.
That's a first in 3 weeks, so congratulations. Good work.
Thank you.
All righty. All those in favor say aye. That passes 3-0. Moving on to Part C of this morning's agenda. We have 2 vote-only items. They are the Bureau of Automotive Repair Consumer Assistance Program and the Healthcare Reform. Since we heard testimony on those, I'd entertain a move. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? You oppose both of them. Correct? I'm looking out for you, Senator LaMalfa. My wife is here, so I'm zipping through. Oh boy, is it ever. Okay, the next item we have is the California Science Center. Issue 1 is unallocated budget reduction. We have 8 items that's under staff's recommendation. We did not hear testimony on this particular item last week, so I would like to hear from Science Center. Good morning.
Good morning. Jeff Rudolph, Executive Director of the California Science Center, and thank you for appearing. We've looked at your staff's recommendation, and I'd open by saying we very much appreciate the work that the committee's doing. Obviously, we know that all of us face a very difficult year this year, and cuts are a challenge. That said, we really appreciate the work that staff's done to try to come up with alternatives and ways of helping address this. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Department of Finance, I understand you have to.
Kristen Shelton, Department of Finance. We would continue to urge the committee to support the full reduction as included in the governor's budget. As you know, not taking that full savings will require additional cuts in other areas of the budget. We do have some specific concerns, although we've had a limited amount of time to look at the proposal. Specifically, issue 7, which proposes trailer bill language that would eliminate the Office of the Exhibition Park Management. We have concerns that that is the area that provides overall security and safety to the park, and it's unclear from us if you limit or eliminate those functions, who's going to take that role on. In addition, the trailer bill language that's proposing to use non-civil services, I think it is largely unnecessary. There's existing government code that would allow the Science Center to pursue, for cost-saving purposes, approval to use non-state staff and use contract staff in order to achieve savings.
Got it. Thank you very much. Any public comment on this particular item? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Ashley Martinez, and I'm here on behalf of SEIU Local 1000. We represent the employees that work at the California Science Center. And while we do recognize and realize that this is a tough budget year, we do have concerns with staff recommendation number 8, which would authorize non-civil service staff to perform facility support services. We'd like to talk to the committee about how that would save money, and our past experiences contracting out has not saved the state money. So we look forward to continuing the conversation and with your committee, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, this will be sent to the full budget committee, so there'll be another opportunity to discuss it there, but does the executive director want to touch on perhaps the limited scope of work duties that will be performed, or comment on that?
I could. I think what we're really looking at is just trying to maximize flexibility and using existing employees to do additional work, not contracting new responsibilities to new people. We're just trying to be clear with that, because what we got to cut. We can't take $1.7 million and not reduce staff.
Well, you are taking a cut. So first, let me thank you on that front. And second, as it relates to the Department of Finance comments, while I greatly appreciate them, I think that those decisions are managerial decisions and should be made with management staff at the museum rather than in Sacramento, respectfully. And so I'd entertain a motion.
That language is rather problematic because it's very broad. And I'm wondering what is the purpose of that and why we would want to approve language that is that broad, because it simply authorizes without any limitation. And why is that in there?
I think that the intent, as I understood in talking with staff as well, was to attach additional words to already existing statutory language with respect to guest service and animal care functions that would allow the people already providing those functions to do some additional work as well. So the same people would just expand their things to respond to other needs as they went along. And I think the language, as I saw something, would have reflected that it's tied to specific language. I don't know if you have.
It also had to do with job scope. So if, from my understanding, there are very special functions that are done at the museum as they pertain to animals that are held in specific tanks. So rather than trying to list them individually, to give it in broad language and scope, but very specific for this organization, so that it's not a slippery slope, if you will, but that it gives the flexibility to the management at the facility to take the cuts and at the same time be able to respond and keep the doors open.
With respect to the animal care language, that is an existing statute, but that is primarily there because there are no individuals in state classifications to perform those functions. While I haven't seen the specific language that's proposed, I only see that there's a comment regarding that language in trailer bill. My interpretation based on the staff recommendation was that it was going much broader and going to more general types of classifications. And in that case, I think that Government Code 19130 would provide a mechanism or a vehicle for the Science Center to pursue those types of activities in lieu of using state staff.
So you're saying the language
I think the flexibility, should it be your intent, exists, and it does not need to be kind of married up with or attached to that language that's special for the Science Center for those animal care functions. There is no entity like the Science Center in state government, and the animal care language that exists in current law, as I recall, is very specific to people being able to take care of, fish and other animals within the aquarium. It's that type of service. So it's very different than general operational staff.
So then, from your comments, I would say then item 8 is a moot point, and so we ought to just eliminate item 8. Yeah. Got it. Moving without item 8, Senator LaMalfa, any comments from you?
This is a difficult one. You can go on either side of half of these items here, and I wish it were separated out a little bit more. But I'll just contemplate it here another moment while I listen. But this is indeed a difficult one here today.
Okay. Any public comment then? Seeing none. Senator LaMalfa, we're ready for a vote. So, all those in favor?
I haven't made the motion.
I'm sorry, I thought you did.
It's okay. I will move the staff recommendation, but striking item 8.
Got it. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? No. That passes 2-1. Moving on then to our next item under Department of Consumer Affairs. We have Issue 1, Board of Accountancy and Dental Board loan repayment. Is this information only? No. Oh, staff's recommend. Delay repayment. Okay, I got you. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's still morning. We're zipping through this. This is good.
I'm Pam Mortman, Deputy Director for Administrative and Information Services at the Department of Consumer Affairs. And what you have before you is just the deferral of 2 general fund loan repayments.
Got it. Any public comment on this item? Any dentists in the room? Seeing none, then I'd turn to senators and see if they'd like to move on this. Got it. Senator LaMalfa, any questions?
I'm having a difficult time here, too, because this is an item that the state does owe, and I think we should pay the bill. So I won't be supporting it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? No. That passes 2-1. Going now to what I believe is the last item of the morning is under Department of Managed Healthcare, Issue 1, Senate Bill 1163, Premium Rate Review. Staff's recommendation is to approve funds for 2 years and positions as 2-year limited term. Also approve supplemental language, reporting language to have DMHC submit a report considering options for bringing actuarial review in-house. We've discussed this bill at length over former meetings. Unless there's any new information, Senator LaMalfa, would you like to comment on this? No? Got it. All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Any burning items staff would like to, or department would like to bring up?
We're still on the... Okay. Yes, excuse me.
Good morning.
Cindy Enos, and I'm director of the Department of Managed Health Care. And with regard to the recommendation that the two actuarial positions, in-house actuarial position to conduct rate reviews under 1163, it is our request that those positions be permanent positions. We think that there's a very strong case to be made for them to be permanent. First of all, the functions that the actuaries will be performing are all new functions. The department has never conducted rate reviews. And so, first of all, we have to really learn this program and learn it well. Secondly, we also have these responsibilities on a permanent basis. These review responsibilities are very much anchored now by both federal law and state law, the 1163 requirements. Third, it is very difficult to recruit and retain actuaries. They're very highly sought after. And moving into that recruitment process, telling them that they really only have a job for 2 years unless something happens, it makes it a very difficult scenario to try and recruit the kind of talent that we need to provide the leadership at the department that we need in order to really conduct meaningful reviews. I mean, not just going through the motions of review, but actually conducting something that has the wherewithal to potentially change the game and increase affordability of premiums. So with that in mind, we are asking that those two in-house positions be made permanent positions.
Well, thank you very much. While I can only speak for myself, obviously, I think we would want you to have the permanent positions. I'm concerned that the Affordable Health Care Act that's being challenged in courts today, while I want it to succeed, may very well be overturned possibly. There's not a certainty that it will not. Given that uncertainty, I think it would not be prudent of us to approve permanent positions, but I think we're at least moving in the right direction to approving the positions, even albeit they limited to 2 years. Any other comments from senators? No?
But I'd echo that in a different way. But
call it Obamacare instead?
Oh, I wasn't even going to go there today, but due to the uncertainty there, but also, I mean, we are looking at an unemployment situation in California where I respectfully would say that there ought to be a lot of folks looking for positions, even if they're a 2-year right now. And so I'd be comfortable even, with that having passed, that it remain as a 2-year, and we see where we go from here with all the unsettled situation we have federally and in the state. So, respectfully, I would say that we'll probably get by at this time, and then this could always be revisited in the future, depending on what the federal actions are and all that. So, but thank you for your presentation.
Got it. That motion was voted on. It passed 2-1. Before we do adjourn, I want to thank staff. This is the first go-around in the Sub-4 meetings that we've had in a very condensed manner. And so good work. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you at full budget hearings now. So this meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.